Welcome everyone to German Tool Reviews. Today we have the Knipex 1685-125SB Universal Cable Dismantling Tool. As those pointed out during a KC tool unboxing video on this product, this is actually a rebranded product from Jokari, specifically the Secura No. 15 Super Stripper. This particular tool is not specifically targeted towards electricians, but I believe more for technicians who deal with low voltage multi-conductor cable installations and terminations. The advertised limits are for any round cable between 8 and 13 millimeters in diameter, which is about approximately 5/16 to 1/2 inch. This being a rebranded product, it doesn't look like they got the Knipex red and blue colors quite right, as you can see from the differences in one of their comfort grips. Now taking a closer look at the unit, it has a plastic clamshell construction with a sliding switch to lock it in the closed position. There is a spring on one end to keep it open when unlocked. The plastic material is a glass fiber reinforced nylon with rubber overmolded portions. I believe the overmolded arrows on the outside are mainly for gripping purposes. At one end of the unit there are 6 positions for stripping single conductor wires. The wire diameters in millimeters for each position are molded into the unit. These correspond to approximately 12 to 24 American wire gauge. One thing I would have liked to have seen is on the other side of the unit to be marked with the AWG values, as many technicians and electricians only deal with this particular unit. On the outside of the unit there is a retractable cable knife that can be used for cutting, stripping, and doing manual installation cuts. There are detents in the mold for both the fully open and fully closed positions of the short blade. It looks like from the discoloration on the blade that the edge has been heat treated in some way. Also on this same end is a metal spike molded into the unit that is used for doing longitudinal stripping of cable jackets. For this feature, the cable would be placed in between the 2 adjacent holes at the end and then pulled through. At the opposite end of the unit there are 2 parallel blades that are used for doing circular jacket insulation removal. Now to get into some testing of the unit. First, the least useful feature I found is the retractable blade. It is not particularly sharp and only has very limited use in my opinion. It is not sharp enough to get through large cable ties, but it might be able to get through some types of plastic strapping. You will still need to use your small side cutters for these other operations. I suppose you could try and sharpen the blade, but this might be difficult given how short it is. By far the most use I've gotten out of this tool is re-terminating existing IEC power cables for use in power tool restorations. The jacket stripping end works perfectly for PVC insulation, which is one of the most common you see utilized in these type of cables. Since nearly all modern consumer electronics come with one of these, I reuse them all the time for all sorts of small projects. You can then use the single wire stripper to strip each individual conductor with the same tool. One thing I wish this tool would have had was a simple wire cutter. Even for small gauge wire, it would have been extremely useful for trimming small wires. For using the longitudinal jacket stripper, you place the cable in the 2 holes at the end and allow the embedded post to pierce the insulation and then pull along the length of the cable. The success of this really depends on how thick the cable jacket is, as the post will only pierce a couple of millimeters into the cable. I got it to work just fine on this IEC cable, which has quite a thick jacket on it. Just to test it on a couple more cable samples, this is the type of cable that I would expect the tool to be most useful on. Here is a 4-pair telco cable with a PVC jacket made by Lap Cable. No problem at all removing the jacket. There's also a copper braid on this particular cable to provide some shielding. I don't normally remove these with this type of tool, but you certainly can with the same blade used to remove the jacket. However, doing this on every cable would most certainly wear out the blades prematurely. Now for things like these nylon filler strands, makes me wish there was a simple pair of shears on the tool. You just have to remove these the old-fashioned way. One issue I did run into with this particular model is it is only applicable to a very specific range of outer cable diameter. When you run into smaller cables like this twin axial cable, you will need to use another tool to get the jacket off. For some smaller data cabling, such as a Cat6 cable, I found that you can use the jacket stripper when the cable is made out of a softer PVC material. Knipex and Jokari sell a tool that is more suited for Cat5 and Cat6 cable. The PC strip is one that would be equivalent to this tool that is targeted for those smaller data cables. Once you get the jacket off, you can then use the wire strippers to remove individual conductor insulation as needed. I've been using this unit for about 6 months now, and has been holding up quite well, with all the blades still sufficiently sharp and no issues with the plastic cracking or warping. The unit itself is a bit pricey for what it does, but there are a couple of alternatives for those on a budget who might not need all of the features that this particular tool offers. Roughly half the cost, the similar 1680-125SB model only contains a barrel jacket stripper and does not have the longitudinal stripper, cable knife, or conductor strippers. But this is definitely an option for those only using this for doing short jacket cable removals. There's also a couple other cable dismantling tools that Knipex offers, including the Ergo Strip, that appears to be an updated design of this tool that has all the same features except for the cable knife. That might be something to look at in a future review. Hopefully you enjoyed that look at the Knipex Universal Cable Dismantling Tool. Check out the link in the description to the full review. There are also some affiliate links in the description if you feel the urge to pick this unit up. Have a good week, and I'll catch you guys next time.